Before you start clipping your dog's nails, I think it's important to know what to do if you cut it too short. Everyone quicks nails when they're first learning, and even I'm not perfect and quick a nail every once in a while. Cutting nails too short can be scary for your dog and make them not like nail trims in the future, but I don't want you to feel bad about it if you make a mistake. So don't panic, and let me show you what to do if you find yourself in that situation. I've been experimenting with my recent videos by doing voiceovers rather than video of me talking because it takes longer to shoot and edit, so let me know in the comments if you prefer watching me talk or if you prefer watching videos of me working with dogs. You probably already know that quick nails can bleed a lot, so my advice to make things less scary is to only take off tiny slivers of nail at a time so that if you do quick a nail, there'll only be a tiny bit of blood rather than a lot of blood. If and when you do quick a nail, it's important to stay calm. If you panic and seem nervous, it's going to make your dog more nervous and they're going to be more likely to remember what happened as a scary thing. Before ever cutting your dog's nails, you want to have Kwik Stop on hand just in case you cut them too short. You'll see this generically called Styptic powder, and you'll be tapping it into the nail to clot the bleeding. I have it next to me all the time when I'm trimming nails because if I do quick a nail, I don't want to have to search for it when I need it quickly, no pun intended. You can even already have the lid off as long as it's not somewhere it's going to get knocked over. Ideally, when you're first learning to do nails, you'll have a helper who can feed your dog treats. I don't usually mean just feeding your dog treats as a distraction, and I'll dive deeper into that topic in future videos, but with cooperative care, it's often helpful to have a second person feeding rather than going back and forth between clipping and feeding by yourself. It also gives you a second pair of eyes to watch your dog's body language, let you know if they're starting to look uncomfortable, and give your dog another person to focus their attention on. If you have your helper feeding and you do quick a nail, you want your helper to distract your dog with treats while you apply Kwik Stop, so your dog hopefully will notice less as you try to stop the bleeding. Make sure you have plenty of high-value food next to you so that if you need more, your helper doesn't have to get up and go get it. As soon as you quick a nail, have your helper feed them immediately, as fast and as much as your dog wants to eat. Hopefully, this will also make your dog less likely to remember this as a bad experience, and it will keep your dog still so you can get the bleeding stopped faster. You can't truly control how your dog will feel or how they'll remember it, but it's your best chance to decrease how nervous they'll be about future trims. It can also help to give your dog praise and do some baby talk as another distraction, and to make the experience seem as positive as possible, even though you just cut a nail too short. So first up, especially if it's bleeding a lot, grab a paper towel and hold it on the nail for a second. You want to get a little bit of the blood clotted, and you want to make sure that there's not a lot of blood coming out when you're trying to put the Kwik Stop on. Then you want to take a pinch of Kwik Stop in one hand, hold the paw with the other hand, hold the paper towel on for a second, and then put the Kwik Stop on. You want to make sure that you go directly from the paper towel to the Kwik Stop so that you don't just end up with a paste of blood mixed with Kwik Stop without getting any Kwik Stop actually onto the cut nail. Once you get a little bit of Kwik Stop onto the nail, if your dog will tolerate it, tap it in a little bit to make sure that it sticks onto the open nail. Quick nails usually heal up pretty well, and if you only quicked off a little bit, they're not going to reopen when they're walking on the ground. Even still, I recommend skipping walks for the rest of the day, especially if you walk your dog on cement. Part of why I say to only clip small bits at a time is because if you do get a lot of blood in one spot, that means the quick is open to a bigger area, so it's more likely to open up and there's a small risk of infection. Always keep an eye on the nails for the next few days just to make sure that they're looking okay. If you do cut a nail too short during a session, even if it's just kind of close to the quick and your dog cries or reacts, don't cut any more nails that day and wait a few days before you try again. If you keep cutting after you quick a nail, your dog's more likely to start to struggle, remember it as a bad experience, and not want to do it again in the future. You also don't need to clip all their nails in one day in general, and a lot of times it helps your dog get more used to it if you only trim 1 to 3 nails at a time. If your dog has a lot of hair around the nail, you're probably going to end up with a little bit of a pasty mess here. If your dog lets you, later on, you can try to remove a little bit of that blood with some benzoyl peroxide, but mostly I recommend just leaving it alone. It'll look a little bit gross, but it's fine. One thing that can help you avoid hitting the quick is if your dog has a lot of hair around their nails, try cutting that hair first so the hair isn't in your way. I hold the hair back with my fingers when I clip, but if you're new to clipping, it's easier to cut it first instead of holding it back with your fingers. By the way, this is your mid-video reminder to like and subscribe if you like my content, but don't get so excited that you smash the like button because we're learning to tap gently. I also have a link listed below for my Ko-fi account, which is a way you can thank me monetarily if you're able. Make sure you get new Kwik Stop periodically, as over time it does get old and kind of moist and clumpy. Kwik Stop that's ready to use should look like this. If your dog really doesn't want their feet touched after you quick a nail, which is fair, there are a few other ways to try to stop the bleeding where you don't have to touch their paws. First, you can put some Kwik Stop on the lid and see if you can lure them into stepping in it. You can also try to get them into the bathtub or to walk through a teeny bit of cold water, and if it's not a huge amount of bleeding, the cold water will help the blood clot. Have them stay in the water for about a minute and then see if it's still bleeding. If there's only a little bit of blood and you don't have Kwik Stop, you can also try using cornstarch, but it doesn't work nearly as well, and if the opening is really big, it probably won't stick. If you don't have Kwik Stop or cornstarch or can't get your dog into the water, you can also try taking an ice cube and holding it on the nail. Your dog probably won't like it, but if they will at least kind of tolerate it, it's a last-ditch option that's good to know about. If you happen to quick a dew claw and it's not bleeding a lot, you can usually just leave it alone. It's not going to reopen because it's not touching the ground, and a lot of times they'll clot and they're fine without the Kwik Stop. Every once in a while, when I do quick a nail, it's usually because I'm tired or I didn't clear enough hair out of the way, couldn't quite see, and I clipped anyway. Don't do this. If you're not feeling up to it that day, don't clip nails, pick another day, and don't push your dog if they're not having a great day either. Another super important thing is to be very, very careful not quicking nails on a puppy. The last thing you want is a dog's first experience with nail clipping to be scary or painful, because it's much harder to undo that later than it is having a bunch of good experiences and then one bad experience later on. If your puppy is super wiggly, I recommend training them to use a scratch board and starting to train them to not be wiggly before you try attempting a nail trim. Even though they won't have a nail trim as young as you wanted them to have it, it's better than them having a bad experience. Puppy nails are also really, really easy to quick, and a lot of times their quicks are longer than they look. So only take off the teeniest little points if you have a puppy and you aren't sure where to cut. There's also a chance that your puppy's nails are already short enough, and if you're not sure, that's another great reason to start with scratchboard training instead, especially if they only need their front nails done. I have a lot of videos about scratchboards and scratchboard training if you want to learn more. It's also really common to be more likely to cut the quick on back nails because dogs push off of those when they walk, and a lot of times there's less nail to take off. So be extra careful when you're trimming back nails. It can also be really hard to see where the quick is on dew claws, and a lot of times they're going to look longer when you're finished than the rest of the nails because they're not touching the ground at all to be worn down. If they are super long after you trim them, trim those more often than the other nails because they do tend to get caught on things and rip out or break. If you're able to get a dog used to a Dremel, a lot of times that's better because you can get the nails shorter and you're not going to quick them, but not all dogs are going to be okay with that noise. In which case, getting good at clipping or using a scratch board are your best options. If this video helped you, please subscribe, comment, like, and share. Your interactions mean a lot to me and help motivate me to make more videos. Watch this video again right before you clip so it's fresh in your mind, and stay tuned for more videos about clipping nails.